This month I set a goal of writing the equivalent of 15 minutes every day. I use the word equivalent for flexibility. What I don't write one day I could make up on another. And this showed a lot this month. It also showed me the importance of expanding my definition of writing. Sometimes I didn't work on my manuscript itself, but I did dedicate time to thinking about it and researching it. That played a massive part of the first half of my month, and you're about to find out why. So let's see how I got on. In writing, I hit a brick wall with scene 62. I must have rewritten it or attempted to rewrite it about 3 or 4 times. It lasted around a month, with things like having to research weapons to make it realistic, or as realistic as some of them were going to get when they're used alongside imaginary weapons, and with inhuman abilities thrown into the mix. I had to examine the mechanics of how the werewolves in my story worked. What prompts the change? Does it matter if barriers block moonlight? And the inevitable, what happens to their clothes and how can you make that age appropriate for a YA audience? But scene 62 is primarily an action scene, so the same considerations apply to how much violence is it appropriate to have. Interestingly, looking at commercial fiction, it seems like violence gets a lot more leeway than other things like swearing and nudity. Which, inevitably, with all that research going on, it led to an awful lot of procrastination and a lot of other creative things happening instead. So, while I was stuck on my rewrite, I tried my hand at a few other things. I continued this month to do the Wordle puzzles, which now it belongs to the New York Times. I personally haven't seen a difference. Some people say they have, but I still enjoy doing that puzzle every morning. In terms of reading, earlier this month Twitter held a debate about whether you actually read a book if you listened to the audio version of it. People pointed to the dictionary definition of read, which the Oxford Dictionary describes as being specifically for the written word or printed word. However, I think it's important to remember that language changes over time, along with the definitions of words depending on their everyday use. If I was asked if I'd read a book by someone, I would say yes, because I know what they're really asking is, do you know the story because I want to talk about it with you? At one time I would have answered no, but then followed up maybe with I listened to the audiobook. But now audiobooks are so commonplace that I'm happy to use it interchangeably. Side note, I do understand the definition is still strict if you're learning to read or learning a different language, but most of my reading these days is done through audiobooks due to fatigue, so I've included them within my monthly stats. So, with that definition in mind, not counting the endless fan fictions and manga, I read 4 novels this month. I finally managed to work my way through one novel which I've tried a few times to get into and didn't finish. It'll be interesting to examine why in terms of writing craft and storytelling later on. But for now, I'm still on target to reach my goal of 30 books this year. Other than that, I've thrown myself into word searches. And you know you're doing too many if you manage to run out of ink and have to replace your highlighters. Using a highlighter in the first place is also probably an indicator that you're well beyond the average person. I also did gutalele. Lots and lots of gutalele practice. I went to Bladen races, 'twas on the 9th of June, 1862 on a summer's afternoon. We took the bus from Bambra's and she was heavy laden. Away we went along Collingwood Street, that's on the road to Bladen. Oh, me lads, you should have seen us gadding, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, ganning along the Scotswood Road to see the Bladen races. I also, as part of my procrastination, decided to do the inevitable thing that most traditional writers do, which is to look at how indie publishing actually works, including the printing and publishing process. That culminated in me launching my own line of journals and notebooks. Currently, you can see here that I have softbacks, hardbacks, small, large, which you can find on Amazon under Spence Johnson Publishing if you're interested. Most of them at this point are very scenic covers and plain notebooks. However, I do want to expand into other sorts of logbooks and journals. It's really been a training ground for me in terms of learning how to format documents, how KDP works, how marketing and VAT works around the world, and hats off, I have a great level of admiration for indie writers out there. And last but not least, I came across hydration tablets. Now these are tablets which are used primarily by sportsmen and for people who travel to foreign countries. Although you can taste the salt in them, it's covered by sweeteners and other fruity flavours, and I'm now drinking a large glass of 1 to 2 of these a day, and it's really helped to lower my heart rate, working in conjunction with my medication to get my POTS slightly more under control. I've noticed a difference in terms of my energy levels, and my brain fog has been turned down considerably. I still can't sit with my feet down for long periods of time, but sitting upright with my feet up, I'm able to work for a lot longer, and I don't need to lie down as much. The urge now is to speed up to finish this rewrite in time for April and May, but I know I need to slow down, take rests, take stock of where I'm at, and try not to bite off more than I can chew in too many avenues. So I'm cutting off the expansion for my notebooks for now, and I'm solely concentrating on bringing more rest, balanced with my health, balanced with my writing. Speaking of, the UK itself has been battered by strong winds this month, and I lost a tree because of it. My plan is to wait for April, and then hopefully I can plant some sunflower seeds in the spot where the tree was, which is the official flower of Ukraine. It seems rather fitting. And if there's one other thing I've seen in this last week especially, it's the power of stories. So many stories of people, real and fake, on Twitter, feeding into motivation, empathy and propaganda. Twitter's been rampant with new urban legends. It's the biggest example I've seen in my lifetime of the transformative effect of writing and stories on people. It's been said that the pen is mightier than the sword, and I've never seen it so true, with stories of sunflower seeds, an ace pilot and Snake Island to name a few. As a writer, choose your story wisely. My current goal is to complete this rewrite of my manuscript to get it ready to prepare to submit in April to the Write Mentor Summer Programme. I also want to submit it to their Novel in Development Award, which has a deadline of May. I'm looking through it. I'm in the last stages. I think I can make that deadline, but then they tell you to go back and to submit your first chapter, and when I go back in time to look at the first chapter, it's like culture shock. I don't know if it's the voice that's changed, maybe, the tone, the characters are in a very different place now that they're at the beginning of the novel compared to Transformed, where I'm rewriting them now. I think I may need to take a day or two to step back and then look at it with fresh eyes to say, right, is this honestly what I want to submit, or can I change that to make it more of a tone of voice towards the end of the book when I've relaxed more into my writing. Let's see, I have a grand total of I have a grand total of 502 minutes worked. That is just over 8.3 hours worked on my novel this month. Given everything else going on, that's not bad. I'd originally set myself a goal of writing for 15 minutes every day. For every 15 minutes I wrote, I would earn myself a gold star. And for every 10 gold stars, I would earn the right to buy myself a new book as a reward. Wow, you can see how unbalanced a lot of this was with research and then taking time off and then coming back at the manuscript again and again. And there we go. The third. That is 3 new books to me. I'll take that, thank you. And I think my goal for next month will be to write for 20 minutes a day instead of 15, just to make sure I get all the way through. That 5 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up. And that's it from me for February. I have to go now, as I have to continue to write my story. I hope you all have a very creative and peaceful March. One day at a time.
Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up,